everybody does sell something. Whether it's a product or a service, a philosophy, an idea, most importantly, when you're selling yourself on a job interview or for a promotion, everybody sells something. I'm just like you, I'm not always fired up. You know, sometimes I want to go home early. So if I really, really want to go home early, especially on Friday afternoons, I'll tell myself, okay, Terri, there's no way you're going home unless you make 25 warm calls or cold calls. Now, if I really, really, really want to go home, I'll put 25 people on the list I'm fairly sure aren't going to be there. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. He would rest his pen in his pen holder, which was his tie. And he would roll it up in his tie and roll it down. Roll it up in his tie and roll it down. So finally, we took the pen away. He had this little dip in his tie where he had been rolling it. And when we think of great presenters, we think of the legends. We think of Dr. Martin Luther King, JFK, even Ronald Reagan, considered the great communicator. Why? No handouts, no brochures, no PowerPoint, just one human being speaking to the masses on what was considered some pretty unpopular material at times and moving them towards action.
In today's market, we are all looking for tools and skill set development to keep us at the top of our game. One of the most important traits of a solid professional is the ability to speak and present persuasively. Why? Because it's not just about getting out the information anymore. It's about generating results. Advancing these skills can help business professionals create new contacts, increase overall business opportunities, convert more prospects into clients, and complete more transactions. So when you're looking for a speaker for your next meeting, conference, or convention, consider a speaker that can both entertain and provide practical information that will help attendees become more polished and persuasive communicators. Terri Sjodin. Terri is a speaker you can count on to deliver a content-rich, high-energy program on communication, messaging, and persuasive presentation skills.
The number one biggest mistake that most professionals make when they're presenting is that their presentations have become far too informative in nature versus persuasive.
Terri balances the content of her material with energetic and entertaining anecdotes that bring the message to life.
As everybody started filing into the room, they took their seats, there were two big screens up, and then as everyone was seated, they dimmed the lights in the room. What happens to a room full of adults when you dim the lights in the room after lunch? Any idea? Absolutely. You see, we've been conditioned since we were in second and third grade that if somebody dims the lights in the room after lunch, it means it's nap time, right? Okay, so imagine there was all this fanfare, they dimmed the lights in the room. 22 minutes later, they flipped the lights on. It was as if they hit a room full of vampires at daybreak, okay? All these people kind of woke up from comas and they were looking around, and they were like, what happened? What happened? What happened? And what's the first thing women notice about other women? Everything. Women are brutal. They're so brutal. They will absolutely critique and analyze another woman from head to toe. And unfortunately, even though they say women really should support women, women are usually like the first ones to attack other women. So the first thing is can't we just all love each other? And then beyond that, the next thing is, well, what's the best rule of thumb? And the best rule of thumb is that conservative is best.
But it's what happens after the laughter that makes her such an exceptional speaker. Terri's audiences are not only motivated to become more persuasive communicators, they leave with new content, tools, and insight that they can put into practice on their very next presentation, meeting, or sales call.
Imagine this. You're in a courtroom. There's a judge at the back of the room. There's a jury off to the side. There's a prosecuting attorney and there's a defense attorney. And when those two attorneys stand up to present their case, they begin with what? Opening arguments, not opening features and benefits, opening arguments, right? And they say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, over the next 2 or 3 days, we're going to prove the following. And they list right up front for the members of the jury what their most persuasive arguments are. Now they sit down and the case opens. And at that point, they share their witnesses, their evidence, their testimonials, and their social proof. See, I'm not telling you to get rid of features and benefits. I'm not telling you to get rid of value adds. I'm not even telling you you can't use a consultative approach. All of those things have their appropriate time and space. But if you want to create influence, if you want to move people towards action, it's not about manipulation. It's about creating a logical, clean, persuasive case that moves people towards action.
Terri has spent over 20 years researching and evaluating business presentations. She's trained thousands of professionals from all over the world. Her clients include an impressive list of Fortune 500 companies, industry associations, academic conferences, and even members of Congress. She has written for and been interviewed by numerous publications and is a frequent guest on radio and television talk shows throughout the country.
A trade show is a perfect opportunity to craft an engaging 3-minute elevator speech. The burden of a 3-minute elevator speech is merely to intrigue the listener enough to get them to want to set up the next appointment time. And that's your burden at a trade show, to bring them in. And with more prospects in the pipeline, you can then close more deals long term.
Terri is a best-selling author whose books include New Sales Speak, the 9 biggest sales presentation mistakes and how to avoid them. She is co-author of Mentoring, a success guide for mentors and proteges with Floyd Wickman. And coming in the fall of 2010, Small Message, Big Impact, how to put the power of the elevator speech effect to work for you. Terri was named one of the top 5 women in business by the Orange County Business Journal and is a nationally recognized leader in the field of persuasive presentation skills. She holds the prestigious Certified Speaking Professional designation. Of the 5,000 speakers who belong to the International Federation for Professional Speakers, less than 7% hold this designation. When Terri Sjodin is on the platform, she educates, motivates, and inspires people to improve their performance and take action. She will even dress the part to complement your meeting's theme and concepts. You choose the format that works best for your organization, whether it's a keynote, breakout session, or a workshop. The content of Terri's programs will help your team build a more compelling and persuasive case.
You see, the only way that you can win a debate round is if you identify right up front what your 9 or 10 most persuasive arguments are with that judge on that topic right now. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been doing this with my sales presentations. Because in a business environment, if you want to win, which is really the whole goal of delivering every presentation, then you've got to identify right up front what your 9 or 10 most persuasive arguments are with that client or prospect on that topic right now. And I went home and I revamped my entire presentation again, just like I would a debate case. And everything changed for me. The first thing that happened was I just felt so much more comfortable being persuasive versus being informative. See, I always had this resistance to selling because I always felt like it meant that I had to be hard sell or using crazy manipulative closing tactics. And by using debate strategy in a selling environment, it really made me feel so much more comfortable about being persuasive because it's just about building a logical, persuasive case with evidence to prove your point. That's the perspective, a debate in a business or selling environment. The second thing that happened for me was that it made my entire presentation shorter because debate really teaches you that you have to do everything in sound bites, sound bites, sound bites, sound bites. So it really requires you to communicate your message concisely in a shorter period of time. And the third thing that happened was I started having fun with it. Because see, also in debate, you can't win just because you have great content. You also have to have great delivery. You have to have fun with it, and you have to be your authentic self.